And speaking of cold-blooded killers, the mother of Naveed Akram, who along with his father allegedly killed more than a dozen people at a Hanukkah celebration at Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia last Sunday, has decided that the very best move that she could make right now would be to insist that her son is a, quote, good boy. Now, I hate to point out the obvious, ma'am, but good boys are not filled with so much racial bigotry that they have to deal with the ugliness inside of themselves by mass murdering innocent strangers, including children. In fact, when you do something that vile, that action universally disqualifies you from being a good boy, no matter what your completely blind mummy says. This case is open and shut. Footage showed 24-year-old Naveed Akram and his father, Saeed, calmly leaving a rented home in Campsie late on Sunday afternoon, climbing into a silver hatchback, and driving toward Bondi Beach with several guns and 2 active improvised explosive devices. Less than 90 minutes later, police say that the pair opened fire on a Hanukkah celebration, killing at least 15 people who have been confirmed dead so far, and wounding 40 more who had to be taken to the hospital, including 2 police officers and 4 children, all in a targeted attack against Jews. The victims that have been named so far include Rabbi Eli Schlanger, who helped organize the event and is now dead, a 10-year-old girl named Matilda, Peta Mager, who was the photographer for the event, Tybar Whiteson, Dan Elkayam, Reuven Morrison, Yaakov Levitin, and the Holocaust survivor, Alexander Kleitman. And yet, according to his mother, Verena, the men who are responsible for all of this blood and death were supposedly enjoying a wholesome father-son fishing trip together, complete with swimming, scuba diving, and dinner plans. Instead, investigators say that the father-son duo were actually holed up in a short-term rental property where they were preparing to commit a mass murder. The father, Saeed, was thankfully shot dead by police on the scene. His vile son, Naveed, was also shot, and he remains in critical condition, although authorities say that he is likely to survive, which is a real shame. But also an opportunity to make a very strong example. So let's look on the bright side, shall we? And start thinking up what we should do with the surviving killer. Personally, I think that we should start taking applications for his chosen cellmate right now to make sure that this is as unpleasant as possible, starting immediately. And just remember, little terrorist, in Islamist extremist groups, the victim of rape is killed along with the perpetrators. In addition to recovering multiple weapons and 2 improvised explosive devices, police also recovered an Islamic State flag. So now federal authorities are investigating the 2 men's recent trip to the Philippines, a known hub for Islamist extremist groups. Yet, despite having an awful excuse for a man as a husband, who predictably turned around and raised an awful excuse of a human being as a son, Akram's mother actually continues to praise him as though this will actually convince anyone out there, instead of just pissing more people off, saying, he doesn't have a firearm. Oh, well, if his mummy says so, I'll just ignore what I saw with my own eyes on the video. He doesn't even go out. He doesn't mix around with friends. She also claimed that her son did not drink, smoke, or go to bad places. He just is a bad place, insisting, anyone would wish to have a son like my son. He's a good boy. I'm not familiar how much American culture filters into Australia, so does the name Norman Bates mean anything to you, lady? No one wants a son like yours. And if you had not prioritized calling him a good boy, no matter what he actually did, instead of actually parenting him into being a good boy, then other people's sons would probably still be alive right now. Unless you think I am being too harsh on this mother, I do not necessarily expect a mother to come out and make a statement that her son deserves to die for what he did, even though he does. And it is one thing to say that she will always love him no matter what, because he is her son, although I doubt very much that I would say the same thing in her shoes. But to actually defend his character as being noble after what he has done, that I do condemn, because that is way too far to be excused by the fact that you are his mother. And it is a big part of the problem when it comes to bad parenting in this world and the awful human beings that get produced from that bad, overindulgent, denialism brand of so-called parenting, a word that is a verb, meaning it requires action, work. So if you do not want to do the job of being a parent, then do not create the people who require the job to get done, because now it is going to get done in prison by people who do not share even a single ounce of your misplaced sentiments, lady. Her unforgivable statement was made as police cordoned off the family home and confirmed that her good boy allegedly helped to carry out one of the deadliest attacks in Australian history. His father, Saeed, immigrated to Australia in 1998 on a student visa and has made several trips overseas in recent years. His son was unemployed and had enrolled to study the Quran. Authorities continue to investigate potential links to terrorism and the ideological motivations, because that is so mysterious. Or at least we are supposed to pretend that it is for some unknown reason. Meanwhile, Jewish families are burying their dead loved ones, while the alleged murderer's mother refuses to even acknowledge that the vile son that she raised is just plain evil. Despite her so-called love. To top it all off, according to the media in Australia, her son had been investigated by Australia's Domestic Intelligence Agency, ASIO, 6 years ago for his ties to an Islamic State terror cell. And thanks to their inaction, so many innocent people are dead and wounded right now, and countless more are grieving them. Police reportedly first took an interest in this 24-year-old terrorist after they foiled an ISIS attack that was planned by a man who declared himself to be the Australian commander of an ISIS cell in Australia. He was under investigation for 6 months before the government deemed him to pose no ongoing threat, despite his own claims to the contrary. The ASIO Director General, Mike Burgess, confirmed on Sunday one of these individuals was known to us, but not in an immediate threat perspective, so we need to look into what happened here. I can tell you what happened here, Mr. Official. You willfully effed up and got a lot of people killed. That's what happened. Police now admit that this attack was inspired by the two men's allegiance to ISIS, and according to ABC Australia, 2 ISIS flags were reportedly discovered in their vehicle. The leaders that you choose to put in positions of power actually matter. Unless, of course, you do not mind your loved ones being killed, because they could be next. But even though elected leaders seem to have a very hard time getting anything right, quite a few regular people step up and manage it pretty consistently, and we should celebrate them instead of always focusing exclusively on the negative. A GoFundMe page that was set up for the brave man who fought back against the Bondi Beach shooters raised over $250,000 in a matter of hours because decent people put their money where their mouth was instead of virtue signaling. According to the BBC, the hero of Bondi Beach, 43-year-old Ahmed Al-Ahmed, is currently in the hospital right now with 2 gunshot wounds, one to the hand and the other to his arm. According to the BBC, Ahmed's cousin said that he was in need of an operation, but that doctors had said that he is okay, adding, "He is a hero. 100% he is a hero." This unarmed civilian, a fruit shop owner and father of 2, bravely ambushed one of the attackers that bloody day, disarmed him, and held him at gunpoint in a true act of heroism. A post to his GoFundMe by Car Hub Australia, which is a car club, says, after witnessing the extraordinary actions of the hero who helped disarm one of the attackers during the Bondi tragedy, an act that prevented the loss of countless more lives, we felt compelled to act. In a moment of chaos and danger, he stepped forward without hesitation. His actions were selfless, instinctive, and undeniably heroic, taken without regard for his own safety. That club then kicked things into high gear with a $50,000 donation, and by Sunday evening Central Time, that fundraiser had raised over $250,000. Be the change that you want to see. That may be a cliche, but it became one because it is true.